brought to the light more now. Just everything is bolder. Yeah.
So you got a crazy couple of years. So are you bleeding that into the music of everything, your feelings and all that your fans?
Yeah, for sure. On this tape, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of that. It's gonna be a lot of that.
Was it difficult to do? Because you don't talk that much, so you don't really express your feelings. We know your music, we know your cars, we know your jewelry, your sneakers, but we don't know Key Glock unless he, fills us in.
Only reason why I made songs like this on this tape is because I took a break last year, and I was just taking care of everything, like far as my personal life and at home, and like I couldn't do that by being on the road and in the studio the whole year all the time. So I had to take a pause, like on music.
Yo, pause everything right now, because Key Glock just stepped back into the ring, and fam, he did not come quiet. You heard that clip. You fuck with the other side, I don't fuck with y'all, know it as. Now, some people gon' hear that and say that's just Glock being Glock, that's just his regular tough talk. But if you know the history, and I mean the deep history between PRE and CMG, you know that every single word out this man's mouth right now is loaded. Like, bro didn't just drop an album, he dropped a statement, he dropped a declaration of war, and here's what the mainstream rap world slept on while everyone was focused on other beefs, other dramas, other distractions. Memphis never stopped burning, gang. The war between Paper Route Empire and Collective Music Group never ended. It just went underground. Bodies fell, courtrooms got filled, and through all of that, one man went silent, went dark, went into rebuild mode, and then came back with the scariest energy of his career. That man is Key Glock. And Makaveli, fam, that ain't just an album title, that's a message. And today, we gon' decode every single layer of it, break down why this man's return is sending tremors through the entire Memphis rap scene, and explain why the CMG and PRE deadly war, the one that cost Dolph his life, just got reignited. Buckle up. This one goes deep. Let me break it down for you from the jump. The year is 2014. Young Dolph is on the come up. South Memphis bred, independent to the core. The man is building something real with Paper Route Empire. And then Yo Gotti, the king of Memphis at the time, CMG boss, signed to Interscope Records, comes calling. Gotti wants Dolph under the CMG umbrella. He sees the talent. He sees the street credibility. He wants a piece of it. But here's where it all starts. Here's the moment that changed everything. Dolph said no. No cap. That was the butterfly effect that started a war killing people to this day. Dolph didn't want to be under nobody's umbrella. That's who he was. Long live the king. I'm my own boss. The whole independent bag. He turned down what prosecutors would later reveal in open court was a potential $22 million deal from CMG. $22 million. And Dolph said pass. Now for some people that's business. You don't vibe with the deal, you walk. But in Memphis, in that world, with those people, saying no to Gotti wasn't just a business decision, it became personal, real fast. According to prosecution statements during the Young Dolph murder trial, and y'all, we gotta keep referencing that trial because it pulled the curtain back on everything. CMG, led by Yo Gotti's brother Anthony Big Jook Mims, didn't just accept Dolph's refusal and move on. They allegedly made it their mission to make Dolph's life impossible. What followed was a years-long series of highly publicized incidents of violence that prosecutors argued CMG directed against Young Dolph. Shots fired at his car in Charlotte, North Carolina. Dolph responding with records like 100 Shots, a platinum-selling track about surviving an ambush. Back and forth, diss track after diss track, incident after incident. And Key Glock, he was watching all of this unfold right next to the man he called his brother, his cousin, his mentor. He was in the trenches with Dolph. This wasn't just Glock's label head's beef, this was family business. That's just the beginning though. Here's something a lot of people don't fully give Key Glock credit for. This man was beefing with CMG affiliated artists on his own, separate from Dolph's main war with Gotti. Let me put it in context. While Dolph was handling the big picture with Gotti and Big Jook, Glock had his own run-ins with CMG affiliates. CMG artist Lil Migo and Glock were going back and forth hard on the internet. Public disses, subliminals, the whole nine. And Glock, being who he is, didn't back down, not even a little bit. He pulled up ready for whatever. This is a man who had already caught an aggravated assault charge back in March 2016 after a shooting at an ice bar and grill in Memphis. 3 people hit by shrapnel. Glock arrested, did 90 days. So understand, this isn't somebody who was just rapping about street life. He was living it. And then, while that drama was still brewing, Glock also had his own smoke with CMG's Black Youngster, two Memphis heavyweights, two different camps. The tension was real. Now here's what's wild. Key Glock never fully crossed into the main Dolph versus Gotti beef publicly. He stayed out of the direct shots, let Dolph be the general on that front. But make no mistake, fam, everybody on the street knew where Glock stood. You don't ride with PRE and not be a target from the other side, period. Fast forward to 2021. Dolph and Glock are at the top of their powers. Dumb and Dumber 2 drop. The duo is on a whole different level. Glock's Yellow Tape 2 peaks at number 7 on the Billboard 200. Everything is clicking. PRE is winning. And then, November 17th, 2021, Makita's Cookies, Airways Boulevard, South Memphis. Young Dolph is shot and killed, bro. I need you to understand what that moment meant. This wasn't just losing a rapper. Dolph was the architect, the foundation, the reason Key Glock had a platform, a label, a family structure in the music business. And in one afternoon at a neighborhood cookie store, all of that got ripped away. That's when the war between PRE and CMG shifted from diss tracks and subliminals to something so much heavier, something that would play out in courtrooms, on the streets, and in the music for years to come. Y'all need to hear this part real clear, because September 2024 changed the entire narrative. Justin Straight Drop Johnson goes to trial for the murder of Young Dolph. 4 days. And in those 4 days, prosecutors laid out a case that didn't just convict a gunman, it exposed an alleged corporate-level conspiracy that had the whole rap world on edge. Here's what came out in open court, gang. Deputy District Attorney Paul Hagerman stood up in front of that jury and told them that Dolph had been trying to build something independent, something for his people. PRE artists, South Memphis, his family, and CMG, specifically Big Jook, Yo Gotti's brother, who prosecutors called the number 2 person at CMG, allegedly couldn't accept that Dolph kept winning on his own terms while rejecting their offers. Hagerman argued that CMG directed multiple violent incidents against Dolph over the years, and that eventually Big Jook allegedly put out a $100,000 bounty on Dolph's head. $100,000. And according to Cornelius Smith, one of the admitted shooters who testified for the prosecution, there were smaller bounties on every pre-artist. Key Glock allegedly had a $50,000 price on his head. Piri Wu, $50,000. Snoop Bands, $20,000. Moochie Grape, $5,000. Fam, stop and sit with that. While Key Glock was on stage performing, while he was in the studio making hits, while he was touring the world, there was allegedly a $50,000 price tag on his life, posted by CMG's number 2. And Key Glock knew this. The streets knew this. Internet went crazy when these alleged court documents leaked and DJ academics amplified them. Fans were posting "Protect Key Glock at all costs." This wasn't internet drama, this was life and death. And the FaceTime call. Let me tell you about this detail that the prosecution dropped that made everything click. Prosecutors said that Justin Johnson, right after the murder of Young Dolph, was on a FaceTime call with Big Jook. Right after. Like the body is barely cold and this man is FaceTiming CMG's number 2? The prosecution called that being caught before, during, and after. They said Johnson tried to delete his call log, but investigators found it. September 26, 2024, the verdict comes in. Justin Johnson, guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and felon in possession of a firearm. Life in prison, no parole. The jury took less than 4 hours. Justice. But also, more questions than ever, because Big Jook, the man prosecutors said ordered the hit, was himself murdered on January 13, 2024, shot multiple times near a restaurant on Winchester Road in Memphis while attending a repast after a funeral. Investigators believe it was a Ford Explorer with dark tinted windows. As of the trial, no arrests had been made. The streets had their own theories. The cycle of Memphis violence just kept spinning. And Hernandez Govan, the man accused of organizing the hit on behalf of Big Jook. He went to trial in August 2025, and fam, the jury acquitted him. Not guilty. Despite Cornelius Smith's testimony that Govan hired him to do it, set up the operation, took a cut. The jury wasn't convinced. Govan walked out of that courtroom a free man. But here's where it gets crazy for Key Glock specifically. Now here's the real tea that most people missed while they were focused on the trial drama. While all of this courtroom chaos was unfolding, while Memphis was still mourning, while the streets were still hot, Key Glock essentially went dark. He didn't do it loudly, didn't announce a hiatus, he just stepped back from music, from the public, from everything. And people started asking, where is Glock? Is he good? What's happening? In his Billboard interview ahead of Makaveli, Glock got real about this period. He said he didn't care for music anymore, that after everything that happened, losing Dolph, the grief, the trauma, he had to step away and get his personal life and his mindset right. He took a full break away from music, just away from the world. And when you understand the context, the bounty that was allegedly on his head, watching his brother get murdered, watching the trial play out, that silence makes complete sense. This man was processing not just grief, but the reality that he was a target, that the people who allegedly wanted Dolph dead also allegedly had a price on Glock's head. But here's what Glock said that should send chills down your spine. Even during that dark period, he never stopped recording. He was recording the whole time, just not releasing. And everything he made during that silence, it came out sounding like, in his own words, a way stronger Glock than any other version of Glock. That's when he started building Makaveli. And this is where it gets deep, no cap. The concept for Makaveli actually goes all the way back to 2020, 2021. He and Dolph planned it together. He already had the chain custom made. It was supposed to drop after the Yellow Tape series. But then Dolph died, and the idea sat on ice, frozen in grief. Until 2025, when Glock decided the time is now. Because like he told Billboard, Makaveli was about rebranding, rebirth. And that's exactly what this era is. Glock reborn from the ashes of everything that tried to destroy him. Think about the Tupac parallel for a second. Because Glock specifically chose Makaveli as his inspiration. And who was Tupac? A man who survived an assassination attempt, went to prison, came back with the most ferocious music of his life, and eventually died in a beef that never got fully resolved. Glock is walking a similar path. Not perfectly, but the parallels are undeniable. He survived a war, lost his general, had an alleged price on his head, went silent, came back. And the first words on the album's title track, Cutthroat La Familia, Mr. Glock the President. Not the same Glock, not grieving Glock, President Glock, Commander-in-Chief, running PRE now and making it clear who the enemy is without ever saying a name. That line, you fuck with the other side, I don't fuck with y'all nunners, is not random. In the context of everything we just broke down, that line is a declaration. It's PRE versus CMG. Alive and active in 2025, and let me tell you how significant this album moment actually was, because the mainstream press kinda glazed over the full weight of it. May 2nd, 2025, Makaveli drops through Paper Route Empire and Republic Records, his brand new major label deal, signed to Republic on March 13th, 2025. First album, no features, 18 tracks, pure unfiltered solo key Glock. And the streets responded immediately. The album crashed into the top 10 of the Billboard 200, number 2 on the Billboard Top Rap Albums chart, top 5 on the R&B/hip-hop albums chart, number 1 on Apple Music the day it dropped. All genres, not just rap, all genres. From a Memphis who just came back from the darkest chapter of his life. That's not just a chart performance, gang. That's the culture saying, we see you, we've been waiting, and we're riding with you. And then Beyonce, Queen Bey herself, used Gang Shit No Lame Shit as an interlude on the Cowboy Carter tour. Beyonce, playing Glock's music to 60,000 people a night in stadiums around the world. Do you understand what that level of cosign means? That's the universe saying this man is protected. That's legacy-level validation. He got 2 BT Award nominations in 2025. Best Male Hip-Hop Artist and Video of the Year for 3 AM in Tokyo. Hot New Hip Hop named Makaveli Top 10 Best Albums of 2025. He sold out Red Rocks Amphitheater, 10,000 fans, not once but twice. The Makaveli Tour, 20 cities, produced by Live Nation. Oklahoma City, Houston, Chicago, LA, Las Vegas. Marquee stops, real mainstream touring infrastructure. This ain't the same Glock who was a regional Memphis act in 2017. This is a superstar. But here's where the CMG angle comes back in hard, and this is where it gets crazy. Key Glock has 8 billion streams. He's got 8 multi-platinum or platinum singles, 3 gold albums, multiple top 15 Billboard 200 debuts. But despite all of that success, he's never collaborated with a single CMG artist, not one. In an era where rap beef supposedly gets squashed for the bag, where artists do songs together despite history, Glock has held that line. Immovable, uncompromising. When fans asked him on social media about collabing with CMG artists, he responded with a laughing gif, not even worthy of words. And in his major label press cycle, every interview, every appearance, Glock was crystal clear. He doesn't have love for the other side. He's cut off people who showed they couldn't be trusted. He said on the Makaveli album itself, I looked up to a couple niggas, it's crazy how they fanned out. And then later, you fuck with the other side, I don't fuck with y'all niggas. Over and over, the same message, delivered with ice-cold precision. This is a man who watched his brother get allegedly murdered over a rap beef, who had a price allegedly put on his head by the same people, who then watched the trial confirm the dark web of conspiracy that surrounded Dolph's death. And he came back and still made it clear, there's no peace with the other side. The war didn't end, it just changed form. Now Glock is fighting it with chart positions and arena tours instead of just street credibility. That's the difference. That's the evolution. And that's what makes Makaveli so much bigger than just music. 8 fam, let's zoom out for a second. Because what we're watching with Key Glock in 2025 is something that goes way beyond one album cycle or one chart performance. We are watching the most consequential post-trauma artistic comeback in Memphis hip-hop history, and I don't say that lightly. Think about what this man had to overcome. He lost his cousin, his mentor, his label head, the person who literally gave him his entire career, to a murder that prosecutors said was orchestrated by people with resources, connections, and alleged ties to a competing music empire. He had an alleged bounty on his own head. He watched the murder trial play out in public. He watched the internet dissect every detail of Dolph's death. And through all of that, he didn't snap, didn't crash out publicly, didn't make reckless decisions that would have gotten him caught up. He went dark, got his mind right, and came back smarter, stronger, on a major label, with no features, no compromises, no reaching across enemy lines, just pure PRE energy, taken to the highest commercial level it's ever been. Now here's the real tea about why this reignites the CMG PRE dynamic in 2025. CMG is still active, Yo Gotti is still a major figure in Memphis rap. Moneybagg Yo, one of CMG's biggest stars, is still one of the biggest rappers in the game. The business side of CMG is still operating, and Glock's return to the top of the charts with explicitly anti-other side energy baked into the DNA of the album cannot be ignored by people on that side. Here's what nobody wants to say out loud. The trial was supposed to bring some kind of closure. Johnson is in prison for life, but Govan walked. Big Jook is dead. The $50,000 allegedly on Glock's head? Who issued that? Who knew about it? Is anyone still operating on those orders? The streets don't forget just because a jury deliberated, and Glock knows that. You can hear that he knows it in every bar he rapped on Makaveli. The line, I looked up to a couple niggas, it's crazy how they fanned out. Think about who that's pointed at. Could be anyone. Could be CMG affiliates who talked peace and didn't mean it. Could be people in between who played both sides. Glock isn't naming names, but he's making sure the people who need to hear it know it's for them. And that's the Makaveli parallel at its deepest level. Tupac spent his last album chapter speaking in codes, sending messages, letting the world know he was aware of the chessboard and who was moving pieces against him. Glock isn't saying CMG did this in a press interview. He's not going on podcasts and pointing fingers. He's doing it in the music, in the imagery, in the choices, the album title, the Tupac symbolism, the thorn crown, the crown of thorns on a man who was wronged, who survived, who came back. Real recognize real, fam. And the streets recognize every single layer of that rollout. But wait, it gets bigger, because there's another dimension to this that people aren't talking about enough. With Young Dolph gone, PRE needed a leader, a face, a general. And for a while, honestly, it looked like there was a power vacuum. Jay Fizzle, Kenny Muni, and other PRE artists were holding it down, but none of them had the mainstream crossover that Dolph had achieved. And then Glock started rising. First with Let's Go off Glaucoma 2 in 2023. That sleeper hit that became a TikTok anthem, peaked at 59 on the Billboard Hot 100 and introduced Glock to a whole new generation of listeners. Then he sold out Red Rocks. Then he signed to Republic Records. And now Makaveli proves that Glock isn't just the best surviving member of PRE, he's one of the best rappers, period. He's got over 8 billion streams. Rolling Stone named him one of 50 innovators shaping rap's next 50 years. His music has appeared in Fast and the Furious, in Madden. Beyoncé is spinning his records in stadiums. He got 2025 BET nominations. He's touring 20 cities with Live Nation. This man is operating at a level that Dolph, God bless the king, only got glimpses of before his life was cut short. And that matters in the context of the CMG PRE war, because here's the uncomfortable truth. CMG, despite all the court revelations and allegations, still has major commercial power. Yo Gotti is still out here. Moneybagg Yo has had massive years commercially. And for a second it looked like PRE might fade without Dolph. Like the war might have ended not with a peace treaty, but with PRE just fading out. Key Glock's mainstream ascension in 2025 smashes that narrative completely. PRE isn't dying, PRE is winning. And Glock is making that point every single time he steps on a stage in front of 10,000 people. Every chart position, every BET nomination, every arena sold out, that's Glock saying, on behalf of Dolph, on behalf of PRE, on behalf of South Memphis, we're still here, we're still winning, and we ain't forgetting nothing. That's not just music, that's warfare by another means. So let's bring it all the way back around, gang, because I need you to understand the full picture we just painted. 2014, Dolph refuses CMG, the war begins. Multiple violent incidents, diss tracks, subliminals, bodies getting involved. Key Glock comes up in the middle of all of this. Cousin, protege, fellow target. November 17th, 2021. Young Dolph is murdered at Makita's Cookies. $100,000 alleged bounty from Big Jook. $50,000 allegedly on Glock's head. Big Jook is murdered himself in January 2024. September 2024, Justin Johnson found guilty, sentenced to life. August 2025, Hernandez Govan acquitted. The alleged organizer walks free. And through all of it, Key Glock goes dark, rebuilds, and comes back with Makaveli. An album that debuted top 10 on Billboard 200, that got Beyonce cosigns, that carries lines like, "You fuck with the other side, I don't fuck with y'all numpwas," and "They hated God and Flipper." That was inspired by the exact same Makaveli concept he and Dolph planned together before Dolph was killed. An album with no features, no peace treaties, no fences straddled. Just just Glock, just uncompromising Memphis street royalty at its highest commercial peak. Here's the real tea. Key Glock's return isn't just a music story, it's the continuation of a war that never officially ended. And in hip-hop, in Memphis hip-hop specifically, wars don't end just because courts get involved. The grief doesn't go away, the loyalty doesn't disappear, and the message Glock is sending with every bar, every chart position, every sold-out arena, the other side didn't win. PRE is still standing, and the general is back. Now, whether this reignites something in the streets, that's a conversation for people way more tapped in than a YouTube breakdown. But what I can tell you is this: Key Glock's Makaveli is not a neutral album. It is a flag planted in enemy territory. And the flag says, "Long live Dolph, long live PRE." And if you're on the other side, you already know what it is. No cap, fam. If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening in Memphis hip-hop right now, I need you to do 3 things. Like this video, subscribe if you're not already riding with us, and drop a comment below. Do you think Key Glock's Makaveli was a subliminal shot at CMG? Or do you think he's purely focused on his bag and his legacy? And for the real ones, if you want the full breakdown of how the CMG-PRE beef started from the very beginning, every incident, every diss track, every body that fell in between, that video is coming. Make sure notifications are on because you don't want to miss it. Stay locked, stay safe. Long live Dolph. Peace.